Hey everybody, and welcome back to Xi4P Podcast. This is the Daily X, where we bring you news, information, and discussions about your favorite Marvel comics, most notably the X-Men. I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NicoAction. That's NicoAction. And today I'm here to bring you part 2 of our amazing planet-size X-Men discussion. In this next segment, myself, Nathan, Jonah, and Maddie come together to talk about some of the most incredible things about this issue, like mutants that can eat up a planet and shit out a new planet. Like, everything about this was everything I needed, including the Quentin, Jamie, Jean, and Preg. Yeah, well, I loved it, and we hope you guys love it too. And if you do, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. And until next time, guys, enjoy this segment, and we'll see ya.
Uno.
Cool, I see it. All right, the Hellfire Gala is in full swing, and finally it's time to see the fireworks. And what a show it is. I'm Nathan. You can find me online at DazzlerAOA on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh gosh, it's me.
Sorry.
Hey guys, it's Maddie, and as always, you can find me over on Instagram at the Basely Covetous Man and over on Twitter at Basely Covetous.
Hey everybody, I'm your friendly neighborhood Nico, and you can find me thwipping around this show all over the place at Nico Action. That's NicoAction.
And I'm Jonah, and you can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at PeakJonah. That's P-E-A-K. And we hope you survive this experience, just like the Omega level mutants and the Iraqi on Mars, not clickbait.
I was worried for Jamie for a second after seeing Sword pop out of his belly, but he survived too. They didn't even need to resurrect him. So yay!
I don't even have words to tell you how happy Jean and Quentin fathering a baby in Jamie made me. That was like every part of my childhood in one delicious series of ice cream sundaes. It was just like Sunday. This one's so good, it's a Monday. It goes over into the next day. It was amazing.
Just like Ashley Simpson, as the great poet laureate she has said, on Monday I'm waiting, Tuesday I'm fading, Wednesday I can't breathe.
You know, I've never realized it, but Ashley Simpson is secretly Solomon Grundy.
Oh my god. Yes. Wow, that's great. I can't even recover from that. Okay, after several issues of teasing the fireworks and the reactions to them, and the varied reactions to them by the humans and the mutants, we finally arrive at Planet Size X-Men. It's written by Jerry Dugan, art by Pepe Larraz, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by Visual Calligraphy's Clayton Cowles. So this issue and its name do not disappoint. The mutants have terraformed Mars and are in the process of setting up a new government as well as birthing a new planet, the planet Araco. So this is not a new idea, right? Mutant homeworld idea has been around for forever, floating around in the Marvel universe. The first time I remember seeing it was in the Guardian of the Galaxies, when the mutants fled Earth to create a homeworld for themselves. So the first question is, do you think the establishment of a mutant planet with a mutant governing over mutants, was that inevitable?
You know, planet is a good question, right? Like Jean Grey once said, I ate a planet, I didn't plan it. So I think when we're talking about the planetary scope of it, they've actually been making a lot of hints about planetary stuff since Hoxpox began. The whole idea of terraforming Mars, it's been there. There's even that little hint of it in the Wolverine Black, White, and Blood issue. So with Ileana, there's a lot going on here that really plays into it. I will say, you know, when the mutants were like, we're going to take over Genosha, and you want to be like, the name is literally Genocide Island. You think about that, right? And now, then they're like, we're going to take over Krakoa, and it's like, that island tried to eat you. You think about that. And now they're like, we're really good at uninhabitable. We're just really good at it. You give us your worst, and we'll make it our best. Red Planet, here we come. Right back where we started from. And it's a very the OC kind of the X-Men. Welcome to Planet Krakoa, bitch, right? It's all very exciting, and I think this was inevitable. I think it's inevitably going to shift different at some point. I don't know about just back, but this portion of the experiment, inevitable.
Yeah, inevitable, yes. Necessary, yes. Will it be reversed? Potentially, with time. I truly hope not, because part of my fear about moving to space is not the impetus behind moving to space. No, it is the impetus behind moving to space. The idea of bringing the redheaded stepchild of Araco to space makes me wonder how long it will be before this story gets into someone else's hands who decides, I did not like Ten of Swords. I do not need Iska the MP. I do not need to perpetuate the idea of a 500% increase in otherworld mutants. And in that regard, I'm a little concerned about the longevity of this decision, but was it spectacular? Without a doubt.
I don't think we've seen mutants in space for a very long time, even as early as Claremontian days. I think back to Magneto's space fort. I think back to Scott and Logan taking on, I believe, Project 15 in space. I think of
Hold
Lo-
on, hold on. I would just like to point out that as much as I agree with you, technically, fighting Weapon 15 at the World was in a time dilation non-space field that exists outside of perceptible existence. So I just need to point out it might have been in space, but it might have
Yeah,
also been underneath your foot. No one's really sure.
true.
well, time and space is an illusion anyway, especially when you have a what are those things called? Infinity Stone. I got there on my own.
Wibbly wobbly, I'm real whiny. I get
Wibbly
it.
wobbly, timey
Time
wimey,
is
Jeremy
fleeting.
Merrimy.
Time is fleeting and all of that.
Time is fleeting, unless you're tempo.
Hmm.
But regardless of all of that, I really think that this was probably the best solution in handling how the Iraqi conduct themselves. They are a nation that is just full of war. They're constantly fighting with one another for supremacy. They're constantly fighting other nations for domination, and it was starting to affect the planet that they were currently residing on, Earth. And the mutants were like, well, we kind of have something we're trying to set up here where we're trying to, in theory, coexist. I'm not even going to say live peacefully. They're just trying to coexist at this point. So I think the best step, if that they were honoring their commitments from the Ten of Swords event of swapping two mutants to live in the other one's realms, I think it's really important that they found a space for them where they could, war and fight and do all that fun stuff without harming the humans that the mutants are trying to not so secretly prove that they're better than. I wasn't actually expecting it to be Mars itself. I was actually expecting them to form a new planet in and of its entirety,
Ooh.
but it does make sense they chose Mars because Mars is a very current hot topic, even in today's cultural vernacular. Of we're gearing towards the years of people being able to visit Mars, and you're like, well, technically, nobody's ever really set foot on there, so we technically could have first claims, and they kind of just did.
So here's my question now, actually. Wait a minute. Why are the humans giving mutants any kind of hard time about this? I just realized for the first time this is the mutant saying, guys, keep Earth. We're good.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Jonah, you put it so simply. You were just like, yeah, they're giving the humans Earth back. Huh. I'm like, oh.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of the humans are just experiencing jealousy, and I think it's that idea of, oh, you know, mutants kind of can do what they want. They kind of can they just proved that they turned a planet that wasn't expected to be hospitable for humans or other organic life forms found on Earth for years upon years, and they did it in a couple of hours. And I think it's that idea of, it's kind of like seeing your ex and saying, "Oh, they really don't need me."
True.
Or we could see that in the positive way of you showing your ex, "I don't really need you."
That's even better. Oh, for me, like the why the humans are reacting, it confirms everything that has been at the base of mutant human relations, right? It confirms that, like Jonah said, it confirms that mutants are this above human thing, and they're gonna supplant humans in evolution just because of their abilities themselves. They fucking terraform Mars. So this confirms all of their fears. They were able to alter a planet on a scale that humans can't even imagine, that we spent hundreds of years not trying to do, but slowly turning our planet into some other kind of trash. But intentionally doing something like that is something that we haven't been able to do.
If I have one nitpicky gripe, we used Hope twice, and that doesn't fly for me. And I know it's in an exceptional issue in the middle of an exceptional event. Like, you really have to find the one thing to harp on if you're me, and it's just the fact that Hope had to aid Vulcan and also had to aid Proteus. And sure, there are not many mutants with abilities like Hope's in terms of the spark plug ability to, synchronize with all others. And realistically, there's a part of me that wants to say, well, how many mutants are we going to bring to space? But like, you gave her 2 jobs to do. She's part of the 5. Did we just like halt resurrection protocols for 72 hours?
Well, I mean, I also think I hear what you're saying, and I think that's part of what this experiment might yield. I think if we get to space and we have mutant culture, there can be like spark plug class, because that's like one thing I've always kind of thought was silly about a lot of eras of Xavier's. And I know Nathan, this is me harping on like Stevie Hunter teaching dance classes, not making a whole lot of sense, as much as I love it. But like, when it's flying class taught by Angel, or it's psychic don't blow your face off class taught by Chamber, when it's those sort of classes, I think it's really funny. When it's Emma Frost teaching ethics, I think it is delectable.
Yes.
But when it's like, and I know they have to learn math, but like, like when it's just like they're in organic chemistry, I'm like, but why? So like, I feel like you're really onto something there. Hope is being super overextended, and hopefully it leads to like Hope teaching spark plug class. They call themselves the Sparkies, and they run around doing cool things like accidentally syncing with everyone's powers and making them explode. I don't know. It's a cool thing, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
Now all I'm thinking is, if the island of Krakoa functioned like a community college, like who would teach what electives?
I think
Oh God.
I think Jean would be one of the guidance counselors.
Oh my
It would
god,
be
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Jean and Storm. The two of them would be the guidance counselors, and everybody would constantly come to them with their problems. And the sad part would be for Storm when Jean is usually dead and her workload is twice as much.
Oh
Oh, and
no.
like Bobby Drake teaches accounting, right? Like I want to say, like Allison Blair, she teaches like pre-law courses.
Oh
So
my god, and Bobby's always trying to teach elemental courses, but it's one of those Snape never gets Defense Against the Dark Arts things.
Aw.
Oh, gravy. So our Omegas that we know and love helped do this, but we also brought in 3 Arakan Omegas to help make this done, to help birth this new planet. So we're introduced to Lakuta, the knower, Sobanar of the deaths, and Xylo, the first.
I would say Zillow. Yeah.
Zillow, like the. Oh my god.
No, you're right. It would have to be Xylo. I'm so sorry. You're so right, because it's a single L, and the phonetic would fall between the first vowel and the consonant phonetic. So yeah, it would have to be Xylo. You're completely right.
No,
One of
I
us
wish,
a
I wish,
teacher.
I wish it was Zillow, because that would be even more funny. That like he's like creating the Earth, in the website. But anyway,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So Xylo is the first defender of this broken land. So obviously this is for the sake of convenience, but did that part of the story gel with you, that our Omegas were easily able to combine with these 3 previously unknown Omegas to help create everything? And these Arakans really did a lot of the work by creating the sea, by transforming the land. Like, what's your guys' thoughts about that?
I would love to note that we look at the Earth Omega level mutants, and you're like, okay, Jean's an Omega level telepath, and Magneto's a master of magnetism, and Hope is power manipulation, and then you look at the Iraqi ones, and it's literally knows the location of everything,
Right?
has an entire oceanic biosystem living within himself, and I assume it's for Xylo. They didn't really explain what his mutant ability is, but I believe it's like the biological, like amoebic version of the aquatic one,
Yeah.
where I assume he has like multiple organic bacterial life forms that grow into like trees and like in like the plant-based ecosystem within them. And you're like, oh, you're just like, the Iraqi are way cooler in every single way. And you're like, the disparity in what the Iraqi define as Omega level versus the Krakoan Omega level was so interesting. But I really appreciated the knowledge of Iska of recognizing, okay, we were kind of thrust into this situation, and while we might not care for the rest of the inhabitants of this planet, we don't really want to be making the waves in the way that this is going to cause trouble for us. And I think Iska kind of realized that and was like, okay, who do they need and who can be best utilized? And these three characters who, God bless them. I love them in every which shape or form. They're beautiful, amazing. Chef's kisses. Mwah. I was really. It actually took an approach that I didn't actually think of, because I was like, okay, you guys make the planet, but then you're like, oh, but you actually need things to be able to sustain the planet. You do need, multiple types of ecosystems, and it's like, well, how would they get that? And then you just have two mutants basically do that for you, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, nice.
Now, let me tell you what you really need to know and why you don't need to hear anybody else's side of it. So, I completely agree with everything Jonah said, and I think we're all going to pretty much be on the same page with this. But at the beginning of Hoxpox, one of the first ever things Apocalypse says about the Iraqi people is specifically their powers are so great and such incredible ideas you cannot even begin to, in your most powerful mutant mind, fathom it. He literally says the things the Iraqi can do is unlike anything ever in the history of the world. So I'm starting to piece together a very specific vision of things where perhaps Moira knew a lot of this from Apocalypse, maybe through the download stick that she receives at the end of Hoxpox, maybe
Well, she was
through
banging him. She was banging him in one
exactly.
life.
They would have. Well, let's be very clear. She had Apocalypse wrapped around her. Apocalypse eats Moira's pussy. There you
Oh
go,
God, yeah.
DC.
He's a
There
real
you go,
hero.
DC. He
Apocalypse is
can
a real hero.
unhinge that jaw and all 10 lives right there. Just multiple lives, consecutive multiple lives. So, oh my God, and he just wears a jaunty little hat while he does it. So, um,
And that big grin on his face.
right? Ugh, it's permanently there. So, like the Joker. So, oh, poor Batman. So, I guess the truth is Joker eats pussy. So, um, you know, Moira probably knew all of this going into this, and I just need like. I'm not trying to be stupid, but in that way that Dupe is like my favorite mutant of all time. Zillow is like my favorite mutant of all time.
He's so
I'm
amazing.
so obsessed with this character now. I want this character. Solo book. Replace Wolverine. Fuck that guy. Fuck that yellow idiot. Put this guy in. I love this guy. And I just think he's amazing. And I have no use for anything else. I think through Krakoa and Arakko, and because the Arakans all kind of view being a mutant as being magic, they're all kind of one with the land, and like they've got that vibe going for them, and now the mutants are all synced up to Krakoa. So for my money, it's just sort of a further exploration of everybody synced through Krakoa. I am very much about this sort of Lego, just snap them together, lift them up kind of mentality as it relates to mutant homogenization.
Something I want to note that's really fascinating about the three Arakos that we met. When the Great Ring of Arakko was introduced to us, they gave us the list similar to how they gave the list of the Quiet Council and their seats and who they met. All three of these Arakko mutants are from the Deus. That's what I want to call it. um, Looking at the page of when it's introduced, the day seats are filled by Lakuta and Suborner, and the eighth seat is X'd out. It's blacked out, so I assume at that time it wasn't known, at least for mutant information. But it only makes sense in my mind that that would be Xylo. It doesn't make sense that Xylo would be part of the Night Circle, because the Night Circle we learned is more about, it's similar to what the Hellfire trading company does, is they kind of do the seedy underwork,
Oh,
but
okay.
known to the public. And Xylo's power set to me doesn't really seem to lend himself to be doing something like that. But it's really fascinating that we met other members of the Great Ring, and the only ones we haven't met yet are the Dusk seats and the Night seats. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to play at some point within the larger narrative of the Arakko Krakoan dealings.
Perfect. So
Mpreg. Let's talk about Mpreg.
I was gonna say, so now we have birthed the planet. Now we are birthing the government. So I know one of the amazing pieces that Nico wanted to gush about was the birth of the Sword Station 2, the security orbital security platform for the planet. So I got to start with Nico. Nico, what were your thoughts on this?
Everybody knows that my favorite classic character is Jean, one of my all-time favorite characters, especially of the modern age, is Quentin, and that Jamie is hardcore, long and away, one of my favorite bad guys from the entirety of X-Lore. This is bringing together three characters that I have long desired not just to write, but I cherish their appearances and bringing them together in such an abstract way. Right, Jean is known for being able to, at her most powerful, do some matter displacement kind of stuff, like
Mhm.
create things, and Quentin is just too powerful for his own good. And then here's Jamie, and it's that he's shown with swollen belly. It's like actual Mpreg. And silly as it sounds, I really appreciate how far Dugan went. I don't even have more to say about it other than I perhaps feel bad for Ewing that Ewing didn't get to write this in Sword, but I hope that perhaps we see a further exploration of it in the Sword issue.
Oh boy, was I not expecting any form of Mpreg in my good Christian X-Men books. Uh, it was, whew, it was something very fascinating, and something that I love to say and I love to pride myself on within our friend group is commit to the bit. If you're going to do something, just commit to it. Don't half-ass it or don't apologize for it, because if you don't believe in it, we're not going to believe in it. Just commit to it. And Jerry Dugan, Mr. Dugan himself, really fucking committed to the Mpreg scene, and I really have to congratulate to him for writing it, to the art team for giving a very, dare I say, beautiful miracle of life interpretation of Jamie birthing this sword. And I was like, huh, you know what? I wasn't expecting Jamie to do this and contribute in this way, but he really needed to. I think he really needed to give birth to something, and I think he needed to enjoy the miracle of life to better understand a lot about himself.
Because Jamie doesn't understand nuance.
No.
No, and that's for a very good reason, because Jamie's like the Amelia Bedelia of the X-Men
Oh my
verse.
God, sure is.
Also, I think it was important to have Joshua do something. Elixir's a character I'm not really familiar with. I haven't really read his era or know much about it. But when this coalition of Omega Mutants came together, I was like, well, what exactly is Elixir gonna do? And then I was like, oh, okay, they kind of just needed him to heal Jamie.
So we have birthed Sword Station 2, and we create Port Prometheus, which is the transportation and trade hub of the solar system now. Oh my God, that's crazy. And we've also created
And Capital.
right? And we've also created the diplomatic ring, which inside the diplomatic ring is the only place that you will be able to expect diplomacy and not war. So they send out Araco as the first mutant world. Attempt no landing except at Port Prometheus. Araco is the capital of the solar system. Hold fast for a message for the region of Sol. So this brings up so many questions to me, but my biggest question is, who do you guys think the Regent of Sol is? Who is the commander of the whole solar system?
I hope it's a big Oz situation. I want, do not look at the scientist lady behind the curtain. I'm really hoping for Wizard Moira. And I'm worried
Ooh.
that one day that lab coat is going to find its way back to Kansas and all our are going to be in some emerald trouble. But I really think we are going to see a fiction head as the regent for at least a period of time.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm just throwing throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks here. I wouldn't be surprised if, considering this is technically Planet Araco, if it were an Araki mutant, and I feel like no Araki mutant holds greater counsel with the council than Iska.
Oh my God, absolutely. I think there's a little clue in there with the hold fast for a message from the region of Seoul. I'm thinking it's Ororo. That's obviously the popular opinion online. Aurora was seen walking into the like head of state kind of thing by herself. And what more fitting leader of the solar system than the queen herself, Storm?
If I had to throw something and like you're cooking spaghetti, as Maddie said, and you're just throwing it against a wall to see what sticks and if it's ready to be cooked, eaten, I should say, not cooked, sorry, 'cause it's already cooked if it's sticking against the wall. I think that it's this mysterious night court within the Great Ring of Araco.
Ooh.
And we know that they're meant to be doing and pulling strings behind the scenes out of the eye. And I would imagine that they're also going to have to play a much larger role in this entire planet, as well as the solar system, in maintaining whatever they do. And I would think that it might be one of them.
All right, so we've speculated a little as to who the Reason the Soul is going to be. Now we saw a little bit of a sort of in the letter from the X desk where Dolores sends her notes out. What do we think the human reaction is going to be to this? I know we saw some of the initial reactions when the human guests were leaving the gala, looking pretty upset. Captain America huffed off. What do we think? How do we think the humans are going to respond?
I kind of have a hand wave, not to be aggressively hand wavy, but like, I mean, it comes down to just two sentences for me. We've already done Broxton. This is not going to make a big difference.
Hmm.
It's just some mutants in space. Like, I just don't think it's that big a deal. There are cities on the moon. It's just not that big a deal in the Marvel universe anymore.
Shouldn't be.
Oh, that was it. That's my whole thing. That's it. It's just not that big a deal. Like, the humans should be fine.
The humans also should be fine because they just have to choose another planet if they want to colonize something.
Yeah.
It's really not that big of it's a huge feat to do what they did in the amount of time that they did. But I really think that this was more so that the Iraqi can't cause any more trouble on Earth to make any more trouble for mutants.
See, that is my thought. I would think that humans would be thrilled to get rid of these extra millions of mutants in this increased landmass that just appeared suddenly out of nowhere. I know it's terrifying to have people create an atmosphere on Mars, but it's Marvel. This stuff happens all the time. And
We've all been on Soarin' in Disney World. It's not that amazing to simulate flying.
Right. And like the Marvel Earth gets invaded like 20 times a year, it looks like. So like, well, maybe the humans would be jealous they can't go to Mars and escape all the invasions. But who knows on that? So I know any subjects, I know we only got a few minutes, any subjects anybody wants to real quick throw in, anything anybody wants to add, anything wants to talk about?
My only little cherry note I want to just top off with is I think the thing that I'm most excited about when it comes to the Age of the Planet-sized X-Men is that we're going to see a different kind of story for a little while. We're really done playing at this they're a metaphor for minorities game. So let's embrace this change. Embrace change. She loves you.
She does.
That was a reference to a Secret Invasion advertisement.
Oh yeah, no, the Queen, Arachne.
Yeah, she loves you.
Hey guys, if you liked that cut from X's4 Podcast, you'll be sure to like some of our other materials. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these other amazing videos here at X's4 Podcast.